Welcome to Second Chronicles, a book that speaks into moments of rebuilding, reflection, and decision. A book that does not rush forward, but pauses long enough to ask a vital question. Will you return to the Lord with your whole heart? This is a book written for people standing at a crossroads, aware of their past, uncertain of their future, and deeply in need of direction. It does not hide the consequences of disobedience, but it also refuses to let failure have the final word. From its opening scenes to its final lines, Second Chronicles is an invitation to repentance, renewal, and hope. Traditionally attributed to Ezra the scribe and written in the 5th century before Christ, Second Chronicles was composed for a post-exilic community that had come home to a land marked by ruin and memory. These were people who knew what it meant to lose everything, people whose history carried both promise and pain. In one sentence, this book is about how faithfulness leads to life and how turning back to God always opens the door to restoration. Second Chronicles continues the story begun in First Chronicles, focusing on the kings of Judah from Solomon to the fall of Jerusalem. Unlike other historical accounts, this book tells the story with a pastoral purpose. It is not merely recording events, it is interpreting them. Again and again, it shows a clear pattern. When the king seeks the Lord, the nation flourishes. When the king abandons God, the nation suffers. History here becomes a mirror, reflecting the spiritual condition of God's people and revealing the weight of leadership, obedience, and humility. The book opens with Solomon at the height of Israel's glory, building the temple, establishing worship, and leading the people in prayer and dedication. The temple stands as a symbol of God's presence among his people, a place where heaven and earth meet, where prayer is heard, and where forgiveness is offered. This moment sets the tone for the entire book. God is not distant. He is attentive, responsive, and ready to forgive when his people turn back to him. As the narrative moves forward, the spotlight falls on a series of kings, some faithful, some rebellious, many deeply flawed. Second Chronicles does not pretend that obedience is easy or that faithfulness guarantees comfort. Instead, it shows how pride, compromise, and forgetfulness slowly lead to spiritual decline. Yet woven through these accounts are moments of mercy. When kings humble themselves, when they tear down idols, when they restore worship, God responds with grace. This repeated cycle teaches that repentance is never wasted and humility is never ignored by God. One of the most powerful themes in Second Chronicles is the call to seek the Lord. This phrase appears again and again, not as a ritual, but as a posture of the heart. To seek the Lord is to depend on him, to listen for his voice, and to align one's life with his ways. The book makes it clear that outward reforms mean little without inward devotion. God is not impressed by appearances, he responds to sincerity. Through these stories, Second Chronicles reveals a God who is patient, just, and relentlessly faithful. He warns before judgment comes. He sends prophets to call his people back. He offers opportunities for repentance, even when the path of destruction seems inevitable. At the same time, the book does not soften the reality of consequences. Persistent rebellion leads to exile, loss, and sorrow. God's love does not cancel responsibility, but it does provide a way home. This book also points us forward to Jesus. The temple, so central to Second Chronicles, anticipates a greater dwelling of God with humanity. The failures of Judah's kings highlight the need for a perfect king, one who would lead with righteousness, humility, and obedience. Jesus fulfills what these kings could not. He becomes the true temple, the ultimate king, and the final invitation to return to God. In him, repentance leads not just to restoration, but to new life. For believers today, Second Chronicles is deeply relevant. It speaks to seasons when faith feels fragile, when compromise seems tempting, and when returning to God feels costly. It reminds us that spiritual drift often happens slowly through small choices and neglected devotion. At the same time, it offers profound hope. No matter how far the story seems to have fallen, God's mercy remains within reach. Renewal begins with humility, confession, and a willingness to seek Him again. As you step into this book, listen for the invitations woven through its pages. Pay attention to the moments when hearts turn back to God, when prayer is restored, and when obedience brings life. Let 2 Chronicles challenge you to examine your own posture before God, not with fear, but with openness. This is a book that teaches us that endings can become beginnings, and that returning to God is always the right move. This is day 114. This is 2 Chronicles, and this is His Time, every day, all year.